Hello, I'm a bit doomed, and in this video I'm going to be talking about game mechanics, standards, and features that, first of all, I don't necessarily consider to be features. I do not think are good for gaming in general, and I really think should stop. Number one is obvious autosaves before battles. This really just ruins any sense of tension, especially horror games in specific. This is a terrible feature. Amnesia was horrible about this. You'd see an autosave, you know a monster's gonna pop out. Let's see, Cry of Fear is another example. If it automatically saves, you know you're probably going to be attacked in the next few seconds. You're gonna be facing some shit. In action games, that's really not such a big deal. It's perfectly okay to know what's coming, but in a horror game, it is really unforgivable. My next topic would be black and white moral choice systems. It's not much of a moral choice, really, if the option is, say, such as in BioShock, between murdering someone and not murdering someone. You don't really benefit that much from the murder in BioShock's case, so it's not really a moral choice system. It's more of a role-playing system where you can play as either a super evil guy or a good person. There's no middle ground. There's no general option to do anything else. It's not compelling in any sort of way. Because, I mean, really, if your only choice is between, like, Hitler and Gandhi, who fucking cares? I mean, yeah, you could be Hitler if you just want to roleplay, but it's not really challenging you in any way. It's just whether or not you feel like playing an evil character that day. Next on my list would be fetch quests. Fetch quests actually, of course, go back to basically the beginning of video games. They've been around forever in some of the earliest RPGs, and I really think it's time that they retired permanently. I think developers should do themselves a favor and stop using them. It makes their games feel cheap. Yes, including the Elder Scrolls games. They don't actually add anything to the experience anymore. It used to be just filler, and it still is, but we should be able to come up with better, don't you think? Maybe like, I don't know, an actual quest. Maybe a reason for a character to go someplace that's story related and not just based on picking shit up. Also, who wants to trek through an entire area to get something and then trek all the way back? My next complaint would be the always online feature, which some games have embraced, some developers and publishers. Blizzard got into quite a bit of controversy when it was announced that Diablo 3 was going to ship with an always online feature. And I can understand, as someone who played both Diablo 1 and 2 quite a bit, all single player, I can totally understand why someone would not want to actually be online for the experience. It's not such a huge deal nowadays, now that the internet is generally always online anyway. Of course, it would never fly back during the days of dial-up. It's still an inconvenience and quite a frustration to people who don't actually have internet all the time. Especially if they want just that single-player experience. Why should you have to connect with some company's servers to play a single-player game that you bought? But luckily that is just so unpopular, I don't think it's something I really have to worry about. Or anyone really has to worry about too much. It'll probably expand in the future, but also in the future more and more people will have access to the internet all the time, so it won't really be as big a deal. The next one is also DRM, and that is install limits and activation limits. Some companies are horrible about this. They're just dumb, really. Why limit the amount of times someone can use something that they paid for? They say it cuts down on piracy, and it may cut down on some piracy, actually. But chances are it doesn't cut down on much. At least only the pirates who actually don't give a shit, really. Those are the people it's going to deter from pirating the game. People who don't care enough to get around the issue. But it's also going to cut down on people who are going to buy your game. Because a lot of people are just against DRM in general and will not buy a game with this draconian DRM attached to it. Now, companies say that you can just call their tech support and get more activations added to your account, which means you have to have an account, of course. But that's hardly a consolation when it's something that you fucking paid for. You should not have to call tech support just to have it work. That's fucking bullshit. And the primary reason I haven't purchased certain games, such as Spore, for instance, one that I was actually quite interested in, but will not buy because of activation limits. Even though I know I could just call their tech support and get more activations if I need to, the fact that I would have to do that pisses me off. It's not worth it. Fuck their game. Next on my list would be automatically regenerating health. This ruins a fucking game. Automatically regenerating health is just the greatest way for a developer to eliminate challenge. Oh, you get injured? Well, that's really not a problem. You can just stand behind something for a few minutes and ta-da, there you go. You are now healed fully. You can go back to battle, go kill things. All because you stood behind a wall for 5 seconds and nothing happened to be shooting at you because they were on the other side of the wall. It's really bad in games like Rage, where you can actually shoot, kill a few guys, hide behind cover when you're about to die. Just sit there for, say, 5 seconds, maybe even less. Pop out because they haven't gotten to you yet. They're all sitting behind chest-high fucking walls. And get some headshots, kill a couple more. If you get injured, don't worry. Stand behind your wall. They will take their time getting up to you because of all the chest-high walls. Now, I'm sure some people actually believe that regenerating health is a better alternative to, let's say, health packs. The health packs at least create some tension, as you have to actually be careful. You have to search for things. You can't just rush ahead and hide whenever you get injured. This weird idea that somehow hiding behind shit is entertainment is just obnoxious to me, really. And that does bring me to chest-high walls, which, I mean, seriously, chest-high fucking walls. When was the last time you were walking down the street and you saw chest-high walls everywhere? Like chest-high piles of garbage, chest-high traffic cones, chest-high vehicles, chest-high everything. The world does not have such clearly defined levels of everything. So why do games? Why is it accepted that, oh, yeah, this room's full of chest-high walls? That's normal. No, it's not. It's fucking stupid. Fuck that. Now, if your game is military themed, for instance, and these chest-high walls happen to be made of, say, sandbags, that makes sense. That has historical accuracy, because they really did build chest-high fucking walls out of sandbags. That is real. These chest-high piles of garbage everywhere that you see in some games, fucking stupid. That's probably enough about chest-high fucking walls. They suck, they're the devil, everyone should hate them. But they're not as much of the devil as my next topic just pisses me off more than really anything else on this list, and that is Quicktime Events. I fucking hate Quicktime Events. Nothing ruins a game more. This is tension building. Anytime you are taking control of my character away from me as a player, I'm going to resent you for it, even if you replace that control with a fucking button. Instead of creating a compelling piece of gameplay with maybe some story elements, the ability for the player to fucking move, for instance, maybe a little bit of skill requirement, that would be nice. But no, I can see why developers would do this, because it's totally fucking lazy and easy. Yeah, you could just throw up a button and replace all of that with just a fucking cutscene. Great. A cutscene that you have to press a button to get to the end of. That sounds like a wonderful idea, said no one ever. Quicktime events really, really have no place in gaming. They never have had a place in gaming. Fuck them. And the developers who make them. Okay, Escort Quests. There are so many games with Escort Quests. It's really astounding. There are a huge number of RPGs that rely heavily on Escort Quests. But should they? Maybe it's time we retired that as well as the fetch quests, because it's not helping anyone really. Escort quests are another one of those old school types of quests that really should be retired by this point, because I feel gaming should have, by now at least, grown up a little bit and developed something more engaging. Really, all Escort Quests serve to do is demonstrate how bad the developers are at developing AI. Now, if a developer is really good at developing AI, great, Escort Quest it up, but chances are they're not, as evident by the thousands upon thousands of terrible Escort Quests in some really spectacular games, such as Morrowind. Really, most of the Elder Scrolls series can be added to this list. And then there's also games like the Gothic series, which is awesome, by the way. Still has some escorting. They should have dropped that. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It's terrible. Fuck Escort Quests. AI is not good enough to support them, so they should be retired for something more interesting and engaging. Really a small complaint, anyway. My next complaint is uninterruptible movement. Now, this is something you see in some games, like first-person shooters, third-person shooters, where the character will move of their own volition, taking control away from the actual player. I don't like this for a number of reasons. I actually think it takes the player out of the game. It does for me anyway, because suddenly you are made very well aware of the fact that you are not actually in control of the character or really anything about it. All it serves to do is remind the player how little their actions actually affect the story of the game. That's a bad thing to remind a player. So, for instance, in certain games, when developers want you to look at something, to have the character just turn and look at it and you have no control, I understand why they do that, just to highlight something. But it seems there could be better ways to highlight something. It's just through the level design. Clever level design will highlight exactly what you need the player to look at. Valve is really, really good about this. Doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to... I mean, hell, Valve has even used fucking arrows on walls to literally point people in the right direction, and no one has questioned it because they can fit it into the theme of the game. Why other developers seem incapable of this is beyond me. Now, one thing I think I skipped from earlier in the list is mandatory cutscenes. I really hate when a game opens up where you have to watch 1 or 2 or maybe 5 little short videos or even an intro to the game and you can't skip it, especially if it's not even a logo associated with the game. If it's like the NVIDIA logo, yeah, I don't actually care if the developer thinks I should be playing this game with an NVIDIA card. I don't want to have to sit through their fucking logo every time I load it up. I also don't want to have to sit through the company's logo. Bethesda, I'm looking at you. I do not want to see your logo every time I open up Skyrim. Luckily, there are often patches to games that allows you to remove the cutscenes, and that's good. At least that's something. Seriously, stop making me watch fucking cutscenes. Mandatory cutscenes in-game are even worse, actually. Say you have a cutscene right after, and this happens a lot, right after an autosave, and then you die. Well, you're gonna have to sit through that mandatory cutscene again. If you die again right after, congratulations, you just bought yourself tickets to the same cutscene again. It's really fucking terrible. How proud of your art do you have to be? Really, developers, I know you're proud of your cutscenes, and that's awesome, but I think you should allow people to skip things that they paid for. If they don't want to watch the cutscenes and they want to miss that part of the story, fine, let them. Next thing on our list is in-game advertising. I mean, seriously, there's no reason for you to be watching an advertisement in something that you fucking paid for. If you pay $60 or even $20, and then for your money, you're also expected to watch corporate advertising, which also pays for the game. Really? Does it not take anyone else out of the game when they see, say, a Pepsi logo? That's a weird example. I've never seen a Pepsi logo in a game, but you get the point. There's no place for it. My final complaint would be the lack of female characters. As you can see here, I'm playing as Super Meat Boy, which obviously is a male character, but this is obviously far from that only case of that. I mean, such a huge percentage of modern games that have been developed feature only male protagonists. This is sort of a strange feature considering that nearly half of people who play games are female. Where are their protagonists? Where are their characters? Why this bias towards male heroes, and sometimes, in some cases, male characters exclusively? Some games don't even have female characters beyond set dressing, which I think is fucking disgusting. So that is my list of things that I think do not belong in any modern game and should be eliminated from gaming entirely. please join me next time when I talk about things that I think should stay the same about the gaming industry. Things I think should really be in more games that improve their entertainment value significantly. That will be in my next video. Once again, I'm a bit doomed. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.